China's new Foreign Minister Qin Gang has hit out at the United States, accusing it of having a distorted view of the country. And it warns of catastrophic consequences if Washington continues down the wrong path. And Mr. Qin made these comments at a news conference today held on the sidelines of China's annual parliamentary sessions. He also warned that when it came to the self-ruled island of Taiwan, this was a red line that the US should not cross. Olivia Xiong reports from Beijing.
It may have been his first time fronting the yearly foreign minister news conference since taking up his new post, but China's number 2 diplomat, Qin Gang, did not hold back from the start, putting the blame squarely on Washington for the deterioration in Sino-US ties in recent years. Referring to the ongoing row over an alleged Chinese spy balloon shot down over US airspace last month, Mr. Qin maintained this was an unintentional incident caused by force majeure, instead saying it was Washington that had violated international law, overreacted, and created a diplomatic crisis that could have been avoided.
从偶然中可以看到必然，那就是美国的对华认知和定位出现了严重的偏差，把中国当作最主要的竞争对手和最严峻的地缘政治挑战。这第一颗纽扣扣错了，就导致美国的对华政策完全偏离了理性、健康的正轨。
The scathing criticism of the US did not stop there, Mr. Qin taking aim at Washington multiple times during the 2-hour-long session.
美方所谓要给中美关系加装护栏，不发生冲突，实际上就是要中国打不还手，骂不还口。但这办不到。如果美方不踩刹车，继续沿着错误的道路狂飙下去， 再多的护栏也挡不住脱轨翻车，陷入对抗冲突。谁来承担其灾难性的后果？
China and the US have faced an ever-growing list of issues from trade to national security and a deepening technology war. But Mr. Qin made clear that the biggest sticking point was the self-ruled island of Taiwan. Referring to a copy of China's constitution at one point, he emphasized that this was considered China's internal affairs.
台湾是中华人民共和国的神圣领土的一部分。
Mr. Qin said Beijing would work with greater sincerity to pursue peaceful reunification, but reserved the option to take all necessary measures.
台湾问题是中国核心利益中的核心，是中美关系政治基础中的基础，是中美关系第一条不可跨越的红线。台湾问题之所以产生，美国负有不可推卸的责任。我们之所以同美国谈台湾问题，是要求美方 不要干涉中国内政。
Relating it to the ongoing war in Ukraine, Mr. Qin asked why the US had asked China not to provide arms to Russia, but had approved arms sales to Taiwan. This comes as China has faced increasing international scrutiny over its position on the Ukraine war, which even after a year, it has refused to condemn. US has alleged that China is considering sending lethal aid to Russia to help in its war, something Mr. Qin refuted, saying it had put forward a position paper which had called for peace talks.
中国既不是危机的制造者，又 不是危机的当事方，也没有向冲突任何一方提供武器，凭什么要向中国甩锅推责、制裁、施压，甚至威胁？对此我们绝不接受。似乎有只看不见的手在推动冲突延宕升级。 借乌克兰危机达到某种地缘政治意图。
Taking aim at America's Indo-Pacific strategy, Mr. Qin said ASEAN countries should stay clear of any power rivalry, adding that the U.S. should set the stage for win-win cooperation instead of making the region a chessboard for a geopolitical contest. The foreign minister also saying that a crisis like the one in Ukraine should not be repeated in Asia.
There have been questions as to whether a new foreign minister would mean a shift in China's more assertive approach on the world stage, as we have seen in the last few years in what's come to be known as wolf warrior diplomacy. But Mr. Qin's news conference confirming what observers had predicted, that there is unlikely to be a shift on key issues relating to China's foreign policy.
Addressing a question on this, Mr. Qin said the wolf warrior label was a narrative trap, adding that while there's no shortness of kindness and goodwill in China's diplomacy, one would have to dance with wolves and have no choice but to confront any attacks head-on to protect the country. Olivia Xiong, CNA, Beijing.
No response yet from the U.S. on the Chinese foreign minister's heated comments, but Washington is expected to react strongly to its key geopolitical rival. Let's get more from Jaguti David. She joins us live from Washington, D.C. As we await the U.S. response, Jaguti, are there signs that the U.S. could lighten its tone on Beijing or maintain its stance in light of Foreign Minister Qin Gang's strong words?
Well, I think you could argue that the US-China relationship is as much a foreign policy issue as it is a domestic issue. You look at those words from Qin Gang to a domestic audience, that tough talk, and you can see that kind of being mirrored here in the United States as well, given that you've got a divided Congress with President Biden having to regularly field accusations from Republicans that he is weak on China, looking at those criticisms that were leveled against him following that alleged spy balloon incident and his administration's handling of that. You can also see it with the hearings on the Hill in the last week that were looking at strategic competition with China on a variety of fronts that is just that scrutiny from the US has just been ramped up on areas like tech security. You've got a bill with potentially looking to ban TikTok expected to be unveiled later today. You've got trade competition. You've got hearings looking at the issue of Taiwan as well. And of course, the United States pressure on Ukraine and those allegations that it's making against China that it is considering sending lethal aid to Russia, that is unlikely to let up as well. Now, obviously, behind the scenes, there is a sense that both sides are wanting to manage their relationship responsibly, but that tough talk is likely to continue.
And on top of what you've just explained to us, could the potential for conflict be dialed up even further, as while China says Taiwan is a red line that Washington must not cross, we hear that the U.S. House Speaker is making plans to meet Taiwanese President Tsai in the U.S.?
Well, we'll have to wait for the next few weeks to see. That is when Reuters is reporting this meeting, this possible meeting could happen. The Financial Times first reported that this meeting would take place in California, citing sources who say that the change of location was because of concerns, Taiwanese concerns about security. And I think there is a sense in the United States and in Taiwan, a hope perhaps that Beijing will view this change of location from Taiwan, where Kevin McCarthy had said he would visit if he became House Speaker, to the United States, as a sign that, you know, both sides, both Taiwan and the United States, want to de-escalate the situation. But of course, there is also a sense that, you know, Beijing, given what we talked about, that the US-China relations is as much a domestic issue as it is a foreign policy issue, that Beijing will perhaps have still quite a strong, robust response, given that it's set up Taiwan to such an extent it's as one of its major red lines.
Jaguti David in Washington, D.C. Thank you.